Aloha and welcome to Beach Walks with Rocks. You can find us at beachwalks.tv. We're here at the river mouth because it's so nice and quiet. The waves are kind of big today, which you will hear any moment now as we approach the ocean front there. But it's such a beautiful view of the mountains in the morning, I think. Anyway, I read this article I wanted to share with you about race from the New York Times. Writer Nicholas Kristof. I've followed him for many, many years. And of course, you know, we have this presidential contest coming up, and race may or may not be an issue. But I thought it was interesting, the data that he provided, because it really relates to how we have an opportunity for consciousness here. And ooh, here come the waves. I think the tide must be coming in. This is the first wash of waves right here this morning. And that's my goal for today's show, is to have a wash of consciousness about this topic. So he said that about 10% of the population is the unabashed, out of the closet, proud to be racist. And then there's the 90% of the rest of us who have, which like you all, varying degrees of racist vulnerabilities, shall we call them. And he cited some studies where if a black candidate is, you know, far more qualified than the rest of the candidates, then that person will be hired. But if there's a black and a white candidate with pretty much comparable qualifications, then it's more like 2 to 3 times more likely that the white candidate is going to get the job. And similarly, you know, studies showing that if there's a black victim, both white and black people, if they're pretty much by themselves, they will call for assistance. But if in a crowd, white people are much less likely to call for assistance for a black victim. So, you know, he was talking about this, about how, you know, a lot of us, we're vulnerable to this. So we look at any one individual and you think, I'm not a racist, but then you look at these studies and you see that in fact within our culture, good morning, that, you know, when you look at the data in the aggregate, yes, we tend to act in ways that don't necessarily make sense. And I know for myself, I think one of the ways to break it is to actually be conscious about it and to examine when each of us has those little thoughts and be able to out them, to expose them, so to speak. So I know for myself, many, many years ago, about 30 years ago, I was hiking in the mountains of New Hampshire. And I was coming out of the hike and came to this bridge. And this young, very well-dressed black man, and this like probably 21, 22, was there with his girlfriend. And I had the thought, oh, what's he doing here? It seemed out of context to me, because everyone I had seen was a white person. And then I heard myself have that thought, and I thought, well, that's silly. Of course he's here because it's beautiful and it's fall and everyone's looking at the leaves, and it doesn't matter that he's white or black. But it was, I think, just one of those things bubbling up, that we've been raised with centuries of racist practices. And to just have a snap, instantaneous thought to where we can eliminate all of that history, all of that legacy that's in our cellular structure is not really realistic. It's not very easy. I think anyone who knows me knows that I have certainly no racist intentions. And I think the way that we, each of us as individuals, and that's really the only way things change, right? We can't change the collective except by starting with ourselves and by noticing when we have certain thoughts and then challenging those thoughts for being no longer valid, never valid in some cases, just were passed on unconsciously. And so many things, right, get passed on unconsciously. But this election time is a great opportunity to really open that space up and become much more aware of who we are, how we think, and how we treat each other. So that's my goal. I think it's a very exciting time. And go Obama. Aloha, everybody. Malama pono.